So I think now we can dive deep into today's section. So could you just share some experiences with us, like securing a scholarship for the PhD at NTU? Could you share any experience?
Yeah. So my experience would be personally with the scholarship that I'm on, it's a PhD studentship. And when it comes to scholarships, they are based on like several categories. We have the studentships, we have the fellowships, and then we have the teaching assistantship whatsoever. But then for mine specifically, the studentship. How I got here on this kind of studentship was to send my then prospective supervisor, who is now my supervisor, a speculative email, just letting him know that if there are any available funded projects that he had at the time. Um, he did not reply immediately. In fact, he did not reply until after a year, which usually happens. I mean, it's normal in academia. But then he go back to me after a year to tell me that he has funded applications available and if I would be interested in applying, I should go ahead, of which I did. Went through about two sessions of interviews, one with him, the other with a doctoral school panel, and then I was awarded a scholarship.
Yes, my next question will be, is that the only opportunity you applied for, or did you
N-
apply for other opportunities?
I did apply for different opportunities. So that the whole journey is about applying and then getting rejected or getting accepted and then liking the conditions and then reapplying again. So I would say my journey has been like just applying, applying, applying because I really, really, really wanted to be in academia. So I applied countless times. I go like um two successful PhDs. I remember one in Slovenia in 2019, but the stipends, which is like the living expenses they give you, was really low. So I had to turn that PhD down. I got one other funding, fully funded PhD that was like in 2020 after the COVID in Greece. But then due to the COVID restrictions, the travel restrictions whatsoever, I lost that funding. So I would say I didn't give up. I mean, I kept on applying. I was rejected. I cannot count the number of rejections that I got, but then it was a lot. Until I finally landed this. So I would say that it was a journey of applying a lot and then getting rejected a lot until I became successful.
So that's nice. But then I want to know, how did you find these scholarships? Did you have any specific platforms?
No, I did not have any specific platforms, or I would say I had. So let me put it this way. For me, the strategy I used was contacting the professors directly. So I would often go to universities' websites. I would go to engineering because that's my field. I would go to the PhD opportunities, which are like funded PhDs, or I would go to like lectures which I find their research very interesting and aligned to my field. And then I'll send them an email letting them know that I am available if they have any funded opportunities. So I would say that for mine, it was like contacting these professors directly. And yeah, that's the strategy I used.
That could be stressful because sending messages a lot and not receiving any reply. I can relate. So
Yeah.
how did receiving a scholarship impact your journey at NCU?
Okay, so well, I am still pursuing my degree, and then
Yes.
the scholarship has really helped, in the sense that in the UK, the kind of school fees you pay here for postgraduate studies is rather high. Um, some going as high as over £22,000 annually. That is really high, and coupled with the standard of living in the UK, high rents and stuff like that, it puts a financial burden on international students. Uh, Also, like it's worthy to note that in a country like UK, immigration restricts international students to working 20 hours a week, and you realize that the money that you can earn in 20 hours a week cannot support these huge sums of money that you have to live on. So getting a fully funded scholarship has really helped me, has eased that burden of having to like juggle jobs and then do some shady stuff in order like to get money to live on and all that. Yeah.
So you would advise getting a scholarship before moving like to an international country to study. I know people who actually move with the intention of I'm going to work and pay for my school and all that. So you think getting a scholarship is actually better, far better.
Personally, I would say get a scholarship. Well, there are others who would move without any scholarship and then they would work. But then, as I explained to you, how much money can you get from working 20 hours in a week to cater for your needs, to cater for your rent, your bills, and then pay school fees and stuff like that, and then concentrate on your studies along with these kind of jobs. So just taking your time to find a good funding before moving, it's actually ideal.
Okay. So what are some of the challenges you encountered while applying for this scholarships in the UK? Were there very
Uh,
specific challenges, like very
well,
specific requirements or anything that you encountered?
well, for the challenges, I wouldn't say like there are specific challenges regarding scholarships in the UK. I think there's this categories like in every country, um, every developed country, so as to put it. I would say that the key, because you're not the only one applying for that funding. You have a lot of people who also want what you want. So in order to be ahead of the competition, you have to make sure that your background kind of aligns with the scholarship provisions. So, for example, in my case, it was a funded topic. So, in my master's, I had worked on drug delivery for cancer cells, and then this project too was related to breast cancer. So, I was able to use that background to build a case for the project. So once they realize that it's so when it comes to PhD, it's just like a job. They want to see what you've done. They want to see the skills that you have developed. And then they want to see whether those skills that you have developed will directly impact the topic that you are applying for because it's funding in play. They are paying you to do something. So they want to be sure that you are the right fit for the job, basically.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. I know that some people actually apply for scholarships based on the topics, and also some people just apply because of the funding and the money that comes along with, the
Yeah,
scholarship.
yeah.
Yes. But
I
can you
would
discuss? Yeah, sorry.
I would say don't focus on the money. Just focus on the topic. Because there's a threshold. Like there's a threshold where you know that the money is not enough at all to live on. That is different. But then once the money is like averagely okay, just focus on how the skills you've developed can actually impact your research.
Okay. And I know also that some professors have the sponsorship, but then they want you to bring your own topic. Does that blend? Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say that is possible based on like a different kind of scholarship.
Okay.
Um, so when it's like let's say government scholarship, for instance, when they don't specify directly, in I am making a case for the professors here, and not for the students. If it's like a general government scholarship that they've won and they want to admit someone, they can evaluate the topics that you have, and then if it is relevant, they can give you that kind of award.
Okay. But
Yeah.
currently, are there any master's programs, like any master's opportunities they at NTU, master's or PhD opportunities?
Are you talking in relation to funding, like in relation to scholarships or sponsorships?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so for masters, no. Usually masters are not funded. They are self-funded, which means that you have to pay yourself. For PhD, yes, there are lots of opportunities available. Usually they get advertised around this time of the year. You'd find these opportunities for NTU specifically once you log on to the website ntu.org.uk. You are going to find these kind of and you scroll to like the PhD sections. You're going to find a lot of topics which are available and then funded, and then you can apply. And once you pass the interview stages, of course, you're going to win the award.
Okay, I think that would help. To
Yeah.
anyone who is looking to apply for scholarships, please look onto that. Please, you can drop your questions in the chat box, right? And we'll read them out.
Yeah, sure.
But can you discuss any support or mentorship that came with your scholarship? And how did that help you academically?
Okay, so I would say that whilst the scholarship doesn't come directly with any kind of support
Social, yeah.
or mentorship, my my supervisor has been very good when it comes to like mentorship and then support and guidance whatsoever. And I would say that above that, NTU itself has a dedicated doctoral school, which sees to the fact that every doctoral student is really taken care of, in a sense that they provide a lot of training opportunities. So they have like a lot of learning opportunities, a lot of writing opportunities, a lot of workshops. And these kind of workshops will build your academic character, they'll build your character in like leadership, for example. So like they have like a lot of support systems for the doctoral school specifically.
But then, what advice would you give to students in Ghana or other African countries who are looking for scholarships to study in the UK? Just recently, someone reached out to me that, oh, I got admission, but I don't have scholarship in the UK. I know that acquiring an admission is very easy and really getting a scholarship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So as I said earlier, getting an admission is not enough. Get a
yeah.
scholarship first. And then also do not limit yourself to one approach. I would say there are lots of websites. Yeah, there are lots of websites. There's findaMasters.com, there's findaphd.com. So like you have to explore the system. You have Google um at your doorstep. Nowadays, you have AI, you have ChatGTP, you have a lot of AIs. Yeah. So like do not limit yourself. Like you have a lot of information. Use these kind of tools. Um, Send the emails to the lecturers, go to find a PhD, go to find a master's, search for these kind of programs, search for available scholarships. They are there. Trust me, like in NTU, for instance, I know a lot of lecturers who are looking for PhD students. Like they really need their students. It's not like they do win the funding and then they need people to work under them. So they do need their people. So do not limit yourself to one approach. Keep on applying. You're going to get rejected. People are not going to reply to you. Just keep sending the emails and then keep applying anyways. You never know.
Keep applying and keep sending the emails. So,
Yeah.
what makes your scholarship or what makes the scholarship application stand? Do you have any specific outline?
I would say that it's not a matter of one cup fits all because we have different panels, right? So it's not like you have only one panel analyzing all scholarships. You have different people. It could be you tomorrow analyzing someone's scholarship here on this call. So it depends on what other people or different people look out for. But I would say generally have a good CV and then have a good statement of purpose because that is where you can make your case. Yeah, so build a good case. And then the kind of case that you have to build is the experience that you've got. So in your undergrad studies, what kind of research experience have you got? What kind of things did you do? Voluntary jobs, like what kind of things did you do? Were you on any committee? Were you in any position? So these kind of experience, they do tell a lot about you. So do participate in all these kind of things. Do voluntary jobs as well in the universities if you are there. And then build a good statement of purpose. Make sure that your skills directly align to the professor you want to work under. And that is a good thing. So let me share something here. So when it comes to higher education research, for instance, yeah, um, think about it this way. You have a professor who is working in one field. This professor orders a lot of things based on the funding he has. So for electronics, for instance, would order a lot of electronics equipment, right? If you are coming in from a different field, um, and then you want to work in our lab, the professor would want to know whether the stuff that he has ordered will be useful to you because he might not find money to order a different set of like equipment because these things really cost. So once you go to the websites, once you have to do your homework about them, know the kind of papers they're publishing, recent papers that they're publishing. It will give you an idea of the research they are doing and align your application in that kind of field because we do order a lot of equipment, we do order a lot of stuff. We want to know that the things that we've ordered in our lab, so you can make good use of it, if you know what I mean. So like just do your research about them and then the opportunities are there and you're going to get them.
All right, all right. So how important do you think the scholarship opportunities are for international students, particularly those from developing countries?
Okay, so this would still bring
Yeah,
the the financial aspects to play. Because of course in accessing world-class education, as I said, it's expensive, right? So for a PhD, for instance, you have to order a lot of stuff, okay, to help in your research. You have to order expensive equipment, as I was speaking about earlier. And if you do not have funding, okay, you have to use your pocket money to order these kind of things. And there are equipment worth over like 500,000 pounds. Like, where are you going to get the money from? There's no way. So it's always good to be on a funding, and then your funding will always cater for these kind of extra expenses.
so as an African student, right, what are some of like what are some of the lookouts or what are some of the things to consider? Is it just the mentorship? Is it just the money? Should we go looking for the mentorship, building relationships, academic communities? So what are some of the things we should focus on beyond the financial aspects?
Okay, so beyond the financial aspects, I'll say focus on on things which are relevant, right?
Yeah.
So in research, for instance, we have a lot of fields. I would say focus on how the research field you want to enter will solve real world problems because human beings are the one who are actually paying for this kind of research, right? They want to know that the work that you're doing, does it have a real world impact? Does it solve a problem? Right? So once you make it about solving a problem, then it would make you, the individual, also committed to these kind of like research field, right? And then it will also make it easier for the funders to keep on funding you. So I would just say that make sure you focus on the fact that the field that you're pursuing solves a real world problem. And that is very important.
But can you share with us any memorable experiences that you in particular faced with your scholarship in the UK?
So when you say memorable experience, do you mean in a good way or in a bad way? Just to
Or
clarify.
both, or any of it? Maybe the good one first, then the bad ones. That's if
I
there's
wouldn't,
any.
I wouldn't say there is any bad ones, except for the fact that the money is always not enough. Yeah. But for the good experience, I mean, the journey has been good. It's been able to leverage a platform, for me to get, my first publication, which was, late last year, I would say, and then also, NTU organized a conference. So usually they organize a conference annually for doctoral students. And last year I was on that conference and I won third place for the best presentation. I'd say that's a good achievement. And then also the funding has enabled me to work on various side projects. And these side projects they have enabled me to actually know what is going on in the health sector when it comes to health engineering in the UK because I've worked on about three side projects with industrial partners. And then this has given me like a new dynamic, a new experience to what they are doing in industry. Because usually there's a conflict between what happens in academia and then what happens in industry. But this kind of UKRI scholarship that I'm on seeks to kind of bridge the gap between industry and academia. So I'd say, yeah.
But then are you open to any motivation, mentorship or anything? Do you want to mentor some students into the field, maybe on how to write your CV, your SOP and all that? Are you open to such?
Oh yeah, sure. Of course, I am. I am. I
All
am. I
right.
am. I am always open to that. Yeah, I'm always open to that idea.
Okay. I think there's a question here that says that if this point have already passed, but I want to know how instrumental writing the GRE is in getting a fully funded scholarship in the UK, specifically in your school.
Sorry, I did not get that really well.
Yes, I think there's a question in there. So the person is asking,
Yeah.
but how instrumental is it writing GRE?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in getting a fully funded scholarship in the UK,
Yeah, in the UK, generally,
especially if you graduated with a GPA below 3.0.
3.0, that is what class? Because I mean, I did my undergrad in KNST, so I'm used to like uh the other grading system. What's that one
Sorry,
called? So
CWA,
yes, CWA. So three means what? Second class lower, right?
second class lower. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually for research courses, they would prefer from second class upper. That is the standard. But then, as I said, there is no right solution and then there's no right answer. You have to compensate it with in some instances the GRE as the person is saying, or how you make your case, right, in your SOP or your CV. So for instance, in my case, I did not have to submit any GRE whatsoever because the UKRI scholarship has a way around it. I mean, they are not strict on providing your GPA, your GRE, sorry. They were quite funny because they asked me to submit my WASI results because they wanted to see the grade I got in English. And and then that is all. They were just happy with that. So they were not concerned with GRE, they were not concerned with SET whatsoever. They were just concerned with that. However, I would say this differs from scholarship to scholarship and school to school. So as I said, it's not really necessary to get a scholarship. And then it is also really necessary. So it depends on you doing your homework well, knowing the kind of scholarships you want to apply to.
Okay, okay. I think someone is asking, could you give us a range of the amount you take? You said that the money is never enough. Could you give us a range?
Oh, it's a
Oh,
standard rate, right? It's a standard rate and it's not hidden. If you go to UKRI website, you just Google UKRI studentship, you're going to see the amount there. I think it increases £100 every week. Every year. What did I say every week? That would be great. Every year it increases £100. So it's the rate is different in London because London is generally expensive, and then the rest of London is different. Currently, it's around £15,000 um yeah, I think 15 or 16,000 pounds a year. So it's annual, right?
okay.
So I think it's 16,000 pounds a year for outside London, and then it's close to 18,000 pounds a year for for the investors in London. However,
Well,
there are other scholarships which pays higher. Like for example, there's this Marie Curie scholarship for physics students. This scholarship pays, I think, about 24,000 a year or 26,000 a year. So it depends on, as I said, like you have to do your homework well, and if you are lucky enough to get higher funding, yeah. that is also available.
Okay. Yeah, someone is asking what about transcript evaluation? Does it help in increasing your chances of getting into postgraduate studies at where
It,
you are?
yeah,
And
it
to,
does. It does. It does. They're going to look at your transcripts. They're going to look at, they're going to analyze every course you did and then the grade you got in that course individually. Yeah. So transcripts really, really help.
well, I like it when you mentioned money. I know that a lot of us come there and we don't want to come back. Right? How is the balance over there like with academic life?
So you're balancing academic to what?
I mean, with like finances over there as
Yeah.
compared to that in Africa. So that's actually
Oh,
the reason why some students actually don't want to come back and develop our own country. And what are your plans
oh,
after PhD?
oh, okay. So, well, I would see, well, for finances, it would depend on the economy, right? Um, for here in the UK, things are still expensive. And I know that there's this usual tradition where people are abroad and then they say that things are difficult here, and then people in Africa would say they leave it come. Yeah, it's a normal trend. The whole thing is that nowhere is easy, but you can thrive everywhere, right? You can be in Africa and get a lot of money. You can be in the UK, get a lot of money. You can be in the UK and be broke. It depends on you, right? If you are giving £50,000, £100,000, it depends on how you manage your money. So I would say that it would be you being disciplined financially to make the most of whatever you're given. Know where to invest, know how to handle your finances, and then you'll be good.
Yes, I did add a follow-up question of
Yeah.
where you would be if you're coming back home.
Oh, you were asking whether I'll be coming back home or I will not
Yeah,
be
I know.
coming
I
back home.
mean, your plans after PhD.
Okay, so my plans after PhD would be first of all to undertake a postdoctoral program. So there's this postdoctoral program where after your PhD, you do further research. That is kind of like mentoring you into a principal investigator role. So it's making you stand properly, knowing how to handle grants, knowing how to admit PhD students into your own research area, crafting something which is like your own research that you'll be building to help in the whole universe of academia, if so to put it. So it would be to get a postdoctoral degree, um, experience, sorry. And after that, I would see if I would stay in the UK or I'll come back to Ghana. I don't know. I've not decided yet.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Well, then, well, questions are welcome. So you can just drop a question in the chat box and then I'll just read it out. I've gotten admission to NTU. Can you help me out with some list of scholarships I can apply to? It's a master's program.
Uh, okay. Oh, so the person has already gotten like admission into a
Yeah,
master's
admission.
program.
Yes, yes, yes.
Uh, okay, so for that, I'm not really sure the kind of scholarships which are available for master students. As I said, the UK particularly do not want to sponsor a master's program, especially the taught masters, which are 1 year. They do not want to sponsor that, except you are doing a research masters, which is like MPhil that you do for 2 years. They are available funding for that. But for 1 year programs, usually there are no fundings for that. So they are usually self-funded except the
Okay.
person applies the Erasmus Darwin scholarship and then those Commonwealth kind of scholarships.
Yes, I think the we can apply to Good Mind. I think last year they had some scholarship at Queen's University, right? Finland University or something. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Deep Mind, I think you can check that
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
How easy is it to get into a PhD program directly from undergrad?
How easy?
Yes.
Okay, the level of difficulty the level of difficulty would be based on your research skills. So if you've done solid research in your undergrad project, you can easily get into a PhD program. You don't need to have a master's first. You do not. Yeah. You can directly just go for PhD to from undergrad to master PhD, sorry. It
Yes.
depends on what you've done. Your research is very important.
And then how is aligned to your PhD actually? So
Exactly.
the yeah. So there are lots of people studying, they're applying and getting admissions, but don't have scholarships. Would you advise to apply for admission first, then scholarship, or the other way around? I know you took the other way around.
Yeah.
Get a scholarship, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say get a scholarship before you get an admission. Else you can get an admission, you can defer for a year and then use that year to look aggressively for scholarships. It also happens. Yeah.
Okay.
There are lots
But I
of
think,
charitable organizations which also give scholarships, like the Gates Foundations. So there are lots of foundations which can help you get scholarships, for instance. So in another way, you can get admission, defer for a year, use that admission to build a case to get a scholarship.
but I think I'll go for your formula. You get your
Yeah.
scholarship, then yeah, I think that one helps. So we have another question. Assuming I did political science in undergrad and I see a course in English literature, which I'm interested in. Please, can I branch? Is that a question? So it's like doing a different course and then branching into a different course, probably because of scholarship.
Yeah, you can. So me, for instance, my undergrad was in materials engineering.
Yes.
My master's was in material science engineering as well. And I'm doing a PhD in electronics engineering, completely different fields. But however, the research focus is still the same. So you can branch your skills, you can branch your field, but make sure your skills align with the kind of research that you want to do. So it's perfectly fine.
All right. Just to ask a question outside the box, how do you balance your academic commitments with extracurricular activities?
Uh, um, well, I do not have a lot of extracurricular activities, as you put it. Extracurriculum activities, I do not have a lot of that because my schedule is kind of like being in the lab, like from nine. It's kind of okay. So another cultural shock in the UK is like work usually starts at 9, in most places, rather than it will start at 8 in Ghana. So it's like literally being in the lab like from 8 or from 9 um till about 7 p.m. from Monday to Friday. Like so I basically do not have any better social life. I'll put it that way. Yeah. Yeah, but don't be
Okay.
like me. I mean, you can have like a lot of social
Yeah.
life, you can have fun, you can explore. It's all parts of the culture. Yeah.
Right, right. But what would you consider your greatest obstacle? And then how did you probably overcome that?
Sorry, what was the question again?
Like your greatest obstacle and how you overcame that to achieving your goals?
Uh,
Yeah.
okay, so I'd say my greatest obstacle would be applying for the PhD program countless times and not
Yeah.
getting a favorable
Right.
program, right? That would be it because I think just before I got this opportunity, one painful moment that I would like to share was I emailed this professor in Canada and we had discussed a topic. He told me he had grants for that topic and he was going to put me on. We had calls like weekly, and I just knew that, oh, I'm just traveling to Canada for this PhD. This professor came to me one day telling me that um there's been some changes in the funding stuff, and then it would be easier for him to employ someone who is already in Canada than an international student. So he basically couldn't give me the award, and I think that was difficult. So it's like it's the kind of like disappointments you get in the process of applying
Okay,
for
okay.
the
So
scholarship.
I
Yeah.
think, yeah. So I don't know any more questions. You can also unmute and ask a question if you have any.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with rejections during application? It's really difficult, I think.
It
And
says
disappointing as well.
it's very difficult dealing with rejections, yeah, in any aspect of life. But then I would say that I kind of program my mind that um I mean it can go anywhere, right? So um I believe that when you fail, right? you learn something from that, and then you are not a coward for not trying. So you try and then you fail, but then the next time you feel more intelligently, in the sense that you know that you did something today, it caused you to fail. You're not going to do the same thing. You're going to try another method. That is also going to fail. You have to try another one. It's also going to fail. But then if you had 100 chance, you've tried 99 times and you failed. So definitely you are going to pass in that one out of 99. So that is how I deal with rejections.
Uh, so we should try, 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 try,
It's just about
and
trying, yeah. It's
yeah.
life is all about failure and then failing intelligently, yeah.
All right, all right. So we are still waiting for questions. Do you have any questions for him? So someone is asking, actually not in the chat box, that is racism. Sorry, let me read it well. So is racism really that high in the UK? And
Um,
how you feel mostly, or how you overcome that?
okay, so I would say the topic of racism is one which is very sensitive.
Yeah,
Um, well, of course, I cannot say there's no racism here. But then I can also put it up to the person asking that there are cultural differences in Ghana, for instance. And then even in Ghana, you have one um one set of people saying that I don't want to relate to these kind of people because they come from this kind of region. So I'd say that it's human nature to be racist, right? I'm not saying it is right, but then I would say that sometimes we shouldn't be so judgmental on those kind of things. We should know that you are in a different country. Probably they do not want you there. Yeah, because they have the cases, their country. You also have your country. You welcome them freely. They can decide not to welcome you freely, right? You can also sack them, right? So I think that personally, you should live your life free of racism. I mean, whatever they do, it shouldn't really bother you. But then I would say the UK people are like really nice. Um, for me, in my department, like with all the PhD students, like I'm the only black person. Um, they don't usually discriminate against me, but then, some people would honestly would not know how to deal with black people because their nature is really different, right? They are really soft. They like to do things in a different way. We are loud. We want to do things in a more aggressive way. So genuinely, some people would not want to come close to you because they do not know how re to like behave around you. So they would rather like stay away from you. But you may see them as racist. But however, the university has a lot of programs um on racism, which brings like white people and black people together, try and then fuse the culture so that there's like inclusiveness. Yeah.
that's nice. So someone is asking, Ben is asking that if 4 years gap after graduation, can you still apply for scholarships?
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't matter. I
Yeah,
mean, you do not forget your skills, right? You still know what you know. So, but I would say that in that 4 years, what are you doing? Like, are
yeah,
you undertaking certain certifications? Are you learning new things online? Are you just sitting down doing nothing? And then that would be a problem. Yeah.
all right. So someone is asking, where do I start? Where do I start looking for scholarships? I know the topic about scholarship is really so broad. You don't even know what to do, which country I should
Yeah.
look for, like what I should do. So where do we start?
I would say you start locally. So you start on yourself, you start with your CV. Uh, you want to know the right things to put there. And you start with you start thinking about what you want to do. So whether with masters, with PhD, you can that's what I'm saying. Like we live in an age where we have a lot of tools, right? You have ChatGPT, you have Google's Gemini, you have a lot of things, right? Put in your CV and then tell the AI agents that you want to start searching for scholarships, you want to do a graduate program. How does your skills that you've attained so far in your academic journey link with any kind of research in any interesting field in any kind of university that you want, and you'll be amazed the kind of answers that the AI will give you. So from there, just craft your CV based on that. Craft your research, craft your search based on that. Like use AI, you have it like it's everything. Just use it as much as you can do. You can use, but just don't use it for your homeworks and then still in your exams and stuff like that. But use it like to build your academic journey, like really make good use of AI.
To make good use of AI, the
Yeah.
series and others. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm still waiting for questions, but let's just keep the conversation going. Do you have like any key skills you have developed in relation to your academic journey? Like something you didn't know, and because of my PhD, now I can do this, now I can do that.
Oh, yeah, of course. Both hard skills and soft skills, like I'm in the field of engineering, so I'm developing like hard skills every day. Learning how to use new instrumentations, doing a lot of research that I'd never thought of. So, yeah, of course, I have, and then I would say mentorship because um, even right with my master's, I had to mentor three master's students who were doing part of three undergrad students who were doing part of my master's program. And in my PhD so far, I've mentored two other master's students. So I'll say mentorship has been like a great thing in my academic journey.
Hello, can I ask my question? I want to ask
Yeah.
a question. All right. So,
Yes, we can.
and- so I want to find out. Maybe you go to a website and you find more than like many professors who have published maybe their uh, studies they want to undertake, and they are looking for PhD students. And more than one of it aligns with your interest. Is it okay to like get in touch with all these profiles? Like if there are more than one, maybe three, to get in touch with all of them. So
Yeah.
I'm asking this because maybe it will look like maybe if they should discuss among themselves, look like you actually like don't know what
What you want
you
to
are, and
do.
yes, and it looks like you are desperate. Although they cut like the fields, they are all within your research interest. How do you handle that?
Okay, so it would depend if these professors all work on the same thing and then they have the same funding, right? If they've published their paper and then you see their names on there, it doesn't mean they all do the same thing, right? They will do different stuff. And then trust me, like most of them do not discuss students among themselves as you think. Most of them do not like each other. So they wouldn't discuss students among themselves. So if you've seen a professor you would want to approach, like do approach them because some of them will get back to you, some will not. So you never know.
I think Ellie can. If I mention your name right, I think your hand is up.
Oh yeah, Duga.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say it's an honor to reconnect with my boss again. I mean,
Oh.
I did work with him
Yeah.
during
Duga worked under
undergrad.
me, yeah, when I was in the University
Yeah,
of Ghana.
yeah, and he's quite a very knowledgeable person to work with. You learn a lot from him. It's just inspiring to see him here once again. I am much more interested in what he does at the moment, his research that he's involved in at the moment. I want to find out. I mean, he made mention of the fact that when you are introducing yourself to professors in order to gain, scholarships and everything or get funded, you would need to introduce yourself with your research that you're interested in, and then make sure uh, in even writing your statement of purpose, you indicate whatever research you've done before and all of that. I am meant to believe that in the field of, say, engineering and what he's doing now, there's a lot of probably hard, not probably, there's a lot of hard skills. I
Yeah.
mean, skills relating to software, computer, and everything. So I want to find out specifically to him. Probably this might not be maybe interesting for everyone here, but personally, I want to find out the skills he had to get himself conversant with even before applying for this particular field or this particular field of research that he's doing at the moment?
Oh,
The hard
okay. So
skills that
personally, like the kind of skills that I had to um develop.
yes, please.
Okay, so Duga, you were with me in the lab most of the time. So yeah, I would say like those are the skills like the biomedical engineering aspects of what I did in my master's really helped. But I really was of importance because of my material science and engineering background. Because as I say, like applying for a PhD is like applying for a job, right? So there is always a problem. And then they would always want to get someone who can fix that problem. And if they find that you can fix it, they're going to award you the scholarship. So my supervisor is in the field of electronics engineering, and that's what he does. He does wearable electronics. So what we do in our lab is that we try to see the kind of technology that they use in the hospitals, the kind of machinery that they use. Usually it's very bulky and big. We try to make these kind of instruments into a wearable form. So let me give you an example. An example would be a heart rate monitor. So you go to the hospital, you realize that there's this bulky stuff which you see in the movies, which is measuring the beats per minute of heart rate. It's really big. But then um, researchers would sit down and think that how can we make this very small, bring it to the patients such that they can use in their homes. So they would think and say that, okay, the solution to that is developing a sensor that is wearable. And that's what we do in our lab. So Apple, for instance, did that. So with the Apple Watch, it can measure the beats per minute of your heart rate. So that bulky instrument that you are seeing in the hospital is what you are wearing on your wrist. That is what we do. So we kind of look at big instruments in the hospitals and we make it something that you can wear on yourself to monitor your health conditions. Now, the problem that my research team had was that they were all electronics engineers. So they did not have anyone who could really understand the materials of the kind of sensors that they were using. Because with these kind of sensors, there are some that you have to wash them. So we do include sensors, including as well to monitor your health status. And for clothing, you would wash them. So how would washing clothing not destroy your senses? And that is where you need a materials engineer to kind of engineer a hydrophobic material, so to speak, so that water cannot destroy the electronic components of that material. So I would say that for me personally, it was my materials background, it was my biomedical engineering background that I learned in the guest lab. And all these kind of skills, I presented them in my statements of purpose, and it aligned well with my research team's focus. And then that is how I landed the scholarship.
Okay, that's very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes, so someone wants to know how long did your journey to NCU from application to acceptance plus full funding peak? Like how long did it take from application to acceptance at DTU?
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
NCU.
Well, it didn't. Well, I say it took long. I think it started somewhere in March 2020, and then the program would begin in October, 2022 in March. So it started from like all the application process began from March, and then the program began in October. So during that span.
Okay, okay. So I just had a follow-up question to Elichem's question. Like, should you know everything before applying? You said
No,
PhD is just like applying for job opportunity. Should you know everything?
no, you never do everything. I
Okay,
I I do not know a
that's
lot
good.
of things. Yeah, you one interesting thing about research is that the more you learn, the more you realize that you don't know anything. So I do not know anything. And then that is what should spark your curiosity to do more learning, to do more things. Is the fact that no matter how much you learn, you realize that you don't know anything. And it's quite strange, but then yeah, you shouldn't know anything. You should just know what you're good at, like the little things you do. So if it's like pipetting, for instance, you know that you can pipette like fluids really well, and then that is your skill. Like you would be surprised. We really need people who can do like some really accurate pipetting. So like no matter the small thing that you're doing, make sure that you know how to do it and you know how to do it well. And that's it. You don't have to know everything.
Yes, I like that. You don't have to know everything. So I'm still waiting for questions. I think probably the last or two. How many scholarships did you apply before you got this one?
Well, I cannot keep count of the number of scholarships that I applied. I started
Oh,
applying from 2019. I got this one in 2022.
22. Wow.
It would be over 1,000 applications. I don't know how many. Yeah, it's like that.
That's a lot.
Someone can apply once and get it. Just like that.
I don't know. Someone is asking again how you dealt with rejections. And
Yeah, so I think
yeah,
we've spoken
it's
about
yeah.
this already,
Let's
but if
just
the
keep
person
going.
wasn't here, I
Yeah,
mean, it's just about like being persistent and knowing that you have a 50% chance with everything. So 50% being successful, 50% failing. So once you fail, you have to move on again and again and again and just keep on trying. You never know.
right, right. So I just have space for one person. So just one question, and then we can bring the meeting to a close. But then, any last words from Chitra? It has really been an insightful section.
Um, yeah, I mean, my last words would be um look for these potential supervisors. Um, when you look for them, look at their research papers. Look at the current papers that they've published. That will give you an idea of the kind of research that they are doing or the kind of trajectory they want to go. And once you know that, make sure that you align your skills to that. And that will make you a very interesting candidate. It will show that you've done your homework. And when you're emailing them, just make sure that you read the abstract of their research and mention that in the email. Let them know that you've read their paper. You know, one problem that I would say academics face is that nobody really reads our papers except students are doing their research work. So it's kind of refreshing to know that someone has actually read the paper you wrote, right? That can lead you to actually getting the scholarship. You'll be surprised.
Right, right. So last thing you said that you mentor people.
Yeah.
How do we reach out to you for mentorship?
Or you can reach out to me on LinkedIn
Yeah, okay.
or via my mail. I can give you my Gmail
I think
or
you should drop it in the
in the chats.
yes in the chat so that we
Okay,
can
let me
drop it.
just drop my email in the chat. You can reach out to me if you have like any additional questions, so you can search me on LinkedIn and then yeah, I'm going to respond to you.